All right, we're back for the daily sales briefing, and this is Friday. I'm still in the cabin. Next week, I'll be back in the studio with my producers, so this won't be as choppy, and it'll be a much better production. But I'm working on my new book called Virtual Selling that will be out in May, and I've got to lock myself away so that I can write and get good content out for you. This week, we've been talking primarily about negotiating in a crisis, and that is our topic today, the third part of the conversation. 2 days ago, we were talking about how managing the sales process, making sure that you're not skipping steps, which is easy to do in a crisis, can put you in a tough spot when you're negotiating if you skip steps because you have no business case and everything comes down to price. So tip number one is execute the sales process perfectly. So go through the steps. Don't allow yourself to lack discipline in the crisis. Don't allow desperation to cause you to go from hello, want to buy. Go through the steps, build your business case so that you have some ammunition at the negotiation table. Number two is there are some businesses, you may be one of those businesses or one of those salespeople, you really need the deal. You need the deal to save your company. You need the deal to make payroll. You need a deal because you haven't sold anything in a couple of months. You need a commission check. And the more you need the deal, the more you're going to be willing to give away in order to get the deal. So that's reality. That's not going to change. That is where we are in the crisis. It's not where we were 2 months ago. So you are in a situation where in some cases you're going to make a deal, and you need to get your ego out of the way so that you get the deal and you don't lose it because you're trying to hold a hard line where you really don't have a lot of leverage. And two, you need to know where your lines are drawn. So it's really important to understand what your minimums are when you go into these deals, especially when you're in a situation where you need one, so that you don't put yourself in a worse situation by landing a deal that gives you revenue but takes away profit and cash flow. And right now you need cash flow. So that's important. Also, you want to make a list of all of the things that you can give away that don't cost you anything. So we call this funny money, but anything like free installation or training or setup, any of those things that you can use, those will make a big difference for you because they don't cost you in terms of profit, but they allow you to use leverage to get the deal. Now, today, we're going to spend time talking about the businesses and salespeople out there that are in a position of power. So as the economy starts coming back online, there are going to be a lot of businesses that really need you. You're going to have the one product, the one service. You're going to be the person that can get there first. They're going to be desperate. They're going to need something. That's going to put you in a position where you could, if you wanted to, extract maximum flesh. You're going to be in a situation of power where you don't really have to negotiate. I want you to remember a couple of things. One is your job is to negotiate and win for your team. In other words, you want to get the best price, you want to get the highest profit, the best terms and conditions for your team, but you also want to protect your relationships. Just because you're in a position to negotiate hard doesn't mean that's always the right thing to do. Now, I'm not talking about giving everything away, and I'm certainly not talking about sitting around and singing kumbaya, but I am talking about playing the long game. If you're in a situation where someone really needs you and you have the room to negotiate, you can work with them, it's important that you think about playing the long game with that relationship. Because if you were to negotiate really hard, you might win in the short term. You might win the battle, as they say, but lose the war. And you have to think about a couple of things. What you want to do is you want to reduce resentment. In other words, it's not about creating a win-win. It's not about splitting the difference. It's not any of those things. It's about protecting the relationship from resentment. You don't want to resent them, and certainly they don't want to resent you. So you don't want to make a deal that puts you in a bad position, no more than you want to make a deal that puts them in a bad position. Because here's the thing, if you negotiate and your negotiation creates resentment, resentment leads to contempt. And resentment and contempt are essentially the gangrene of human relationships. And when people feel contempt for you, if that customer feels contempt for you, that stakeholder does, because you push them into a corner because you can, over the long haul, they're going to end up doing business with someone else when that option is available to them. So think strategically about what you're doing. Be careful not to push too hard or take advantage of someone's situation. Do the right thing for you and your company and your customer, and play the long game to protect those relationships, because we're going to get out of this. And you think September, October, November, or even this time next year, you want to think the lifetime value of those customers. So sit down with your team, figure out where you need to be, figure out what's fair, figure out how you can win for your team, figure out how you can win the market, take market share from your competitors, all of those things. But at the end of the day, I think what's most important is that you do the right thing. That is today's daily sales briefing. As with yesterday, I'm not going to take any questions, simply because I've got too many things going on with technology, and I don't want to put you in a position where you're sitting around waiting for me to answer the question. If you do have a question, you can shoot it to me via email. My email is jeb@salesgravy.com, or you can drop it into the comment box, and I'll write you back on that, or connect with me on social media. And I will be back in the studio on Monday, and I'll have my producers, and I'll be able to take live questions. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.